Have you ever wondered why a lot of persons they earn more money or they struggle financially, and then there are others that make less money but they are doing well? The secret is not about how much money you make, it depends on the level of financial literacy that you have. As a person trying to grow my finance, I've observed that making money is just one part of the journey. Learning how to manage that money or how to use it wisely is what is important and what is going to lead us to financial freedom. Yes, financial struggle really speaks about the amount of money you make. It depends on how you see money, how you manage money, the value that you place on money. At the center of financial struggle is what we call financial illiteracy. So financial literacy is what actually influences our buying, our spending habits, and our finances, which over time accumulate into our financial behaviors. Yes. When people lack structured financial knowledge, they tend to confuse income with wealth. They focus more on making money rather than planning how to manage that money or how to multiply that money. And this attitude actually keeps them in a vicious cycle where money is constantly coming and then it is always going. So you've heard of people that say, oh, I make a lot of money but I don't know what happens to my money. So that is what bad spending habits or bad financial illiteracy does to someone. So now we're going to focus on financial patterns that are keeping young people broke. The first on my list is what I call poor budgeting habits. When money is not properly budgeted, we tend to spend recklessly. Spending becomes reactive based on our emotions, based on our immediate desires, based on pressures, rather than planned priorities. So we do not actually know what to do with money when money comes because there is no plan for us to stick with. So we do not know what to spend, what to save, and what to invest. Secondly is what I call low saving discipline. A lot of persons, they have the knowledge that yes, I'm supposed to save my money, but then they save the money that is left after spending. Saving is supposed to be intentional. It is supposed to be the thing that you do first. For you to be financially free or financially independent, you have to first of all pay yourself before spending your money on other things. The third one is limited awareness to the consequences of debt. A lot of persons, they go on to take loans without knowing the interest rate, the repayment procedures, and the long-term goals. And this in turn gives them unnecessary pressure, yes, and keeps them in a cycle, in a chain of debt. Now, I am not saying debt or borrowing is bad. At least everybody borrows. But then I am talking about bad debt. So by the time I am borrowing to fund my fake lifestyle, or I am borrowing to buy something that will just appeal to my immediate need, that is what we call bad borrowing or bad debt. But if I am actually borrowing money to acquire something that in turn will give me money, that is a good debt. So let me make it very, very simple and clear. A good debt is when you borrow money to acquire something that will give you money in return. While a bad debt is when you borrow money to acquire something that will lose value over time. So before you collect that loan today, I would want you to ask yourself, would this put money in my pocket or would this take money out of my pocket? Next, I will be talking about what I call lack of exposure to basic investment principle. A lot of persons, they have the idea that yes, they are meant to save, they are supposed to save their money, but what will happen if you keep saving all your money? I want us to understand something, that our saving interest and inflation rate is not the same. When you keep money in your bank account over time, the money loses value because of what we call inflation. So instead of me to just pile up all my money in my savings account, I would rather use that money to start up a business, which in turn will give me more money. Remember that a pool that doesn't flow will turn into a swamp. So you should not hold money. Rather, you should allow money to work. You should allow money to flow. The next thing that I'll be talking about is what I call lifestyle inflation. And this is very common among young adults. Yes. So when there is an increase in my income, instead for me to think of how to create wealth with that money, I think of how to upgrade my lifestyle, get the latest Chanel bag, get the latest Bond Street and clothes. You see, all of those things are what is actually making us to be financially broke. Now, I am not saying getting good stuffs are bad. I'm actually a fan of looking good is good business, but then I want us to set our financial priorities very, very straight. So an increase in income should lead to an increase in saving and an increase in investment, and not just an upgrade in your lifestyle. The last thing I'll be talking about is what I call family responsibility. Yes, another factor that contributes to financial struggle among young people is what I call the burden of family responsibility. A lot of persons suddenly becomes what we call the financial support system for their families, for their parents, for their siblings. Immediately they start earning money. Now, I am not saying helping your family is bad. I mean, it's something that is very, very admirable. But then it can also limit you, or it can make it difficult for you to save, for you to invest, and for you to be financially secure. Yes. So financial discipline or financial literacy tells us that we giving out help and we saving our money is not opposite things, but we need to actually find a balance. So by the time I keep spending on my money helping people, I am going to go broke. I think one of the ways that we ourselves can actually help our families is for us to become financially independent first, so that by the time we are giving, we are not giving at the expense of our own future. Don't forget that you cannot keep pouring from an empty cup. You have to be full before you'll be able to pour into others. So let me know in the comment section which of these behaviors is your major problem, and don't forget to like and follow for more personal and financial development knowledge. Thank you very much.